Let's talk Rams. Let's talk Chargers. And then we'll wait for you to talk to us in the chat box. The Rams, Buffalo Bills. I didn't think the Rams had this in them to crank it up and do what they did to Buffalo. But boy, they came out of that locker room emotionally on the edge. They played like a pack of wild dogs, and they went after Josh Allen, and that quarterback, Matthew Stafford, went down the field. His wide receivers made circus catches all day long, and the Rams posted a 44-42 win over the playoff-bound Buffalo Bills. And they survived Josh Allen's combined 6 touchdowns.
6.
No quarterback has ever done this before. 3 TD passes, 3 TD runs. He wound up with 424 all-purpose yards. He was a one-man gang. But I'll tell you, Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua would not let the Rams down. Stafford finished with 320 and a couple of touchdowns. Nacua, 12 catches, a $162 in that. 912 yards combined offense. Up and back, up and back. Oh, I mean,
it was unbelievable.
And the job that Sean McVay did, cranking his guys up to go play those guys, because those guys are really good. But the Rams punched the Bills in the mouth. The other game was at Arrowhead Stadium. The Chargers. They did everything but win the game. But I'm not sure they deserved to win, but they played hard. Their defense caused a lot of problems for Patrick Mahomes. Kansas City is the most unimpressive 12-1 team. I'm sitting here with you right now, heading into the final couple of weeks of the season. This Kansas City roster is not going to survive the playoffs. Is it fair to say living on borrowed time? But the Chargers defensively came up with a scheme that flushed Mahomes out of the pocket, prevented Mahomes from running with the football. Yeah, he made a pass at the end that got them deep into Charger territory. And Matthew Wright, clank, kicks a field goal off the upright that ricochets between the uprights and drops in.
It was fantastic.
Game-winning field goal. Mahomes was held to 221 yards. I felt bad for Justin Herbert. He got the crap kicked out of him. Big problem, Chargers. That offensive line just can't protect him. They got 3 number 1 draft picks in the offensive front, and he got whacked again. 3 sacks, 7 hits, thigh injury, knee bruise, ankle twist. But their defense really played hard against Mahomes. What a shame. They lose 19-17 to Kansas City. The Chiefs have now beaten the Chargers 19 of the last 22 times. And you couldn't see Andy Reid's face, but Andy Reid had to be really concerned that they just never put anybody away. And it's just continued to be a scuffle. Are they winning? No doubt. They're winning every one of these games by less than a touchdown. They're winning come from behind virtually every Sunday. But once you get to postseason, you're not playing the Carolina Panthers or these other teams. I think Kansas City is going to be in trouble. Their left tackle, right tackle combinations are just a disaster. But felt bad for the Chargers, felt bad for Herbert because he hung in there. What a tough hombre. Great quotes from Jim Harbaugh. You did the one day you didn't go to the bar at UCSD. You did go to English Lit class.
Yeah.
Some famous guy wrote about a British commander on a ship who got badly wounded. And as he was taken down below, he said, "I'm bleeding a little. I am not slain. I will rise again." That's what Harbaugh said in his post-game press conference, making reference, the Chargers are bloody and battered and we may be down, but we will be back. It was just absolutely maple. He said it was a football fight for 4 quarters. He said, I respect the Chiefs, but I respect my team more. So Harbaugh was what is his eloquent best. So you don't know that where that phrase came from.
No, I'm not familiar with that.
I'm bloodied and not slain, I will be back. Some British admiral said it in the War of 1812.
Oh yeah, there's always those kinds of phrases in history.
Yeah, Harbaugh just pulls the stuff out of the sky.
Yeah.
So anyhow, let's talk about what the Rams did. Let's talk about what the Chargers did.
Well, first of all, the Rams game was unbelievably entertaining.
Yeah.
And, oh, my God, Bills Mafia filled in SoFi. And whenever the Bills would score a touchdown, you hear big cheers.
I texted a friend back in Buffalo, And I said, "I feel bad for you." He texted back. He said, "Yeah, they're not playing well." I said, "No, I feel bad for you. There's nobody to shovel any of the snow in the 716 area code because everybody in Buffalo is out here in SoFi Stadium. It was like a Buffalo Bills home game without the cold weather."
Yeah, it was. It was like, oh, every game in SoFi seems to be like that. But I'm a big Josh Allen fan. I mean, just partly because he played in the Mountain West against the Aztecs, and so I always kind of root for him. California kid, from the Central Valley. And as a Niners guy, I mean, I'm not rooting for the Rams, but it was an entertaining game. And just to go to the Chargers. Oh, by the way, the Rams, I think they have a shot to make the playoffs.
7-6.
Yeah, I mean they're not in if that season ended now, but the momentum is on their side. Yeah, the Charger game. I mean, it was hilarious. Like for me, they began the fourth quarter. The Chargers had the lead, and I sent a note to my buddy up in San Francisco and said, "Hey, watch what happens. The Chargers are going to lose in excruciating fashion." He goes, "No, no, no." He goes, "The Chiefs are going to lose. They've been hanging on. They deserve to lose. They've been barely winning every week." And I go, "Okay, let's find out." And doink, that ball hit the upright, and it made that rattling sound, and then it went through, and you're like, "Oh, this is so Chargers."
I'm not going to tell everybody what you did to me right at the end of the game. Of course, I'm going to tell them what the hell you did to me. So John's sitting here in his castle, and obviously he's watching the game, and he texted me right at the end of the game. And the only thing he put on the screen on my cell phone, not that it was a great game, no compliments to anybody. The only word he put on the cell phone was chargering. Way to pile on. Way to pile on.
Well, it's exactly. This happens so often. I mean, I remember back, the Phillip Rivers era, there'd be games where the Chargers would lose at the last minute all the time. It just seems to happen over and over again. Now I'm wondering, could the Chargers slip out of playoff eligibility? I mean, what do you think?
Top three teams in the AFC West wildcard race are all 8-5.
Yeah.
Can you believe bleeping Denver in a rebuild year is 8-5 and the Chargers with all that talent are just 8-5? There's three teams that are 8-5 with 4 weeks to go.
Yeah. So this is going to be crazy, kind of a sprint to the finish.
But I mean, the Bolts have now gotten through the toughest part of their schedule. I mean, they're going to get Baker Mayfield and a battered Tampa Bay team next week. We'll talk about that on the Thursday podcast. So if you're an NFL fan, because we're doing sports talk the way it should be done, you're going to join us on Fans Forum. Give us an opinion. Jump into the chat box. Rams fan, react. Charger fan, you agree with me? They did everything but win the damn game. Or to agree with him, Chargering. Feel free. Okay, other topics